So Baton Rouge Green is a small staff of 3. It's myself, and we also have Robert Seaman, who is an arborist, landscape architect, program manager extraordinaire. And we also have Christopher Cooper, who is a horticulture and plant soil sciences expert, and does a lot of the very difficult work of helping us establish new plantings, which is crucial. Everything else we do through contract work or in some cases volunteer work. And we also rely heavily on partnerships from business and industry and local citizens. And we are funded almost entirely by private donations.
We really look at the site first, and we determine the right tree for the site. So trees are infrastructure, just like regular roadside infrastructure. They're just green infrastructure, and we design them accordingly. So you pick a tree that meets the site conditions, that can grow in the type of soil, the type of drainage, the type of sun an area gets. But we also look really hard at favoring native species. We want resilient species, things that are storm resistant and drought tolerant. And then we want diversity. We really push for species diversity to make a more resilient system as a whole.
Generally speaking, on these type of projects, there's especially something that's kind of post-construction, there's a lot of different issues happening, especially below grade. So there's a lot of soil compaction happening. These are very much the utmost of urban environments, and so there's very little organic matter in there. It's very heavy clay, road-based type. So we hopefully will go in there and be able to break up some of that root compaction, add in a little bit more organic matter to kind of jumpstart that soil, because soils are very much living, breathing entities, and we need them to be living and breathing.
We really look for space, number one. Safety comes first. We try to protect sight lines for motor vehicles moving through a space, as well as getting the tree far back enough from the traffic patterns. And then we look at what we can fit in there versus what the site will accommodate, and that goes to soil conditions as well as other infrastructure on the site.
We talk a lot about species diversity and tree diversity, but age diversity is also very important within the cityscape. So you don't want all your trees, 100,000 trees that you planted in your city, to all be the same age, and then all of a sudden in 20 years they look incredible, but then 50 years or maybe even 100 years they're all coming down at the same time maybe.
On a freeway like the I-10, I-12 corridor, you've got a lot of concrete, you've got wind issues. Wind just travels down the freeway without any type of impediment, and so the trees are going to be more susceptible to desiccation, so drying from winds. They're going to be more susceptible to high wind velocity. They'll be more susceptible to the pollutants. We've already talked about the pollutants that are in the air. So is it a challenge to keep trees healthy along a freeway? Sure, but you can pick the right species.
I think we'll plant the majority of in the areas where we have wide spaces where we can safely set it back from the interstate. We'll plant large trees, and we'll plant evergreens, we'll plant deciduous, again favoring for native species. And then areas where we have to plant a little closer to the interstate, or maybe we don't have as much room between a sound barrier wall or something like that, then we'll come in with a medium or a smaller tree. The establishment of those trees is critical because injuries that occur to a young tree can manifest 20, 30 years down the road into something that could cause rapid decline or even a structural failure. So we work really hard to establish these trees correctly from the beginning so they have strong foundations, strong healthy root systems, and they maximize their potential.
The most beautiful part of the 10-12 split, in my mind, is the large planting of live oaks. But when you have this large monoculture, you leave yourself open to be ravaged by a potential pest, whether that is a fungal disease or more often not an insect disease. And so if the worst should happen and some oak pest comes through, canopies are more dynamic when there's no more diversity. So by getting a new opportunity to plant with this new knowledge, we're hoping to have a little bit more diversity so our new canopy is more resilient and more dynamic in the years to come.